Okay, well, if that wasn't a headache. Okay, I pretty sure I'm live on YouTube, just YouTube, guys, because technology did exactly what it will do sometimes, and it did not behave. So I had to switch devices. Let me see here. Okay, sorry. I had to switch devices. I had to move to my phone. Um, if someone is there, if you could let me know if you could hear me. Let me just check, make sure. Yeah, so I would just say that I love how technology does exactly what it wants to do. It really doesn't care how much you plan. It doesn't care how much you prepare. As is life, correct? So I know a few people were sending me messages saying that the live stream um, ended, or that it and the lighting in here with this phone is just terrible, actually. Um, sorry. Um, and so I do appreciate the feedback. I do appreciate anyone who was trying um, to jump on and weren't able to. So I have done a brand new live stream. So if you are on that, I'd love it if you just say hi. So um, and let me know where you're tuning in, or you're tuning in from. I want to apologize because we were supposed to start at 6 o'clock and it is now 6:20 because of all of my technical difficulties. I am running behind. Now, unfortunately, that's not a new thing for me. Something I've been working on, but here we are. And it wasn't because I didn't try. But as that's just life, right? So I hope that you are having a fantastic day. I can say that I've had a pretty decent day. This happened and it is okay. Like, it will be okay. The world didn't end behind it. Um, Life, no, no one was harmed behind it. So I think, I mean, honestly, I don't know if my computer died, y'all, or what. Um, I just don't know. Like, literally, about 2 hours ago, I set up everything. I had everything ready to go on all the platforms. I had all the, fancy stuff, fancy smanchy stuff ready. Um, Started my live. I said hello, and my computer literally went black. And what I have realized is that when I have something to say that is really important to get out, that technology goes crazy. I don't know if anybody else is has experienced something like that, but I have experienced that several times. And it's like that, it really is like that extra, gives me that extra push. Like, I gotta get on here and I gotta tell them, even if I'm late, even if y'all gotta come back and catch the replay at another time, I know what I want, what we're going to talk about tonight is super important um, technology was trying it was fighting against me. So thank you for hanging in there. For those of you who did, I appreciate it. I want to just get started chatting with you tonight. Oh, okay. Sorry, a message was popping up. I wanted to get started chatting with you. I mean, I just want to start. Ugh. Okay, you know what? I want to start chatting with you tonight. I'm trying to like calm down because I was kind of running around trying to make sure I could get this live going. But I wanted to do this tonight because I really I know how important healing is. I know how important it is, the topic. I know how important it is, and just how valuable it is to life, right? So I felt like, you know, the world does a lot better. People heal a lot better when with transparency. And it's so interesting, and I'll tell you why I actually thought about this shortly before I started this video. Is I think, let's see, we moved to Tennessee in like 2016, and around, I want to say we were there about a year maybe, and the word transparent kept popping up. It was like a constant, all the time. It was like, and I would be like, okay, what in the world does this mean? Like, why does this word keep coming? Like, what am I supposed to be transparent about? Right. And honestly, that was a time in my life where, truthfully, I was afraid of my story. Like, I, um, let me go back. I wasn't afraid. I was ashamed, right? I was ashamed of my story. Um, I had not really dealt with it. And I shouldn't say not really, because I know I hadn't. But it was a time where I was very private. I was very quiet about life. Like, I faded into the background. I'm sorry, I'm turning my notifications off. I faded into the background a lot. And I did that intentionally because I wanted to hide. And so it's so interesting that tonight, or in this stage of my life, I'm talking about transparency when I want to say, I guess like 6, 7 years ago, being transparent was the last thing, like the last thing on my mind. Like, I didn't want to be transparent. I wanted to look good. I wanted my life to look good. I wanted the things that I was doing to look good. I wanted to achieve things. To, I wanted to like grow in my career. Like, I wanted my life to look good, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. And I'm understanding that if I'm with me being on my phone, that you all may not be able to comment. So I really hate that, but that's okay. If you I don't know, like, I don't know, we'll just come back to that. But I just want to get this out. So, transparency, right? So, um, that was just a stage of life. Like, I didn't know what to do with that. And I remember saying, God, what do you want me to be transparent about? Like, yeah, I was literally at a point where I was like, should I just open up my Facebook page? Like, it's private. Should I make it public? And when I say my Facebook page was locked down, it was locked down. Like, you had to know me on a whole like level in order to get to me on Facebook. Um and I was like, okay, what does that mean? I really didn't know. And honestly, I didn't really begin to understand that word, like what that word meant in my life, until I started doing it. Like, until I started sharing my story and talking about it, honestly, till I started to get to the point where I was, healing and dealing myself, was I able to really understand what, like, the value of transparency, the value of being open, honest, the value of having conversations with people that could help them, because you've already gone through it. Like, I truly believe, like this is in my heart of hearts, I believe that everything that I have gone through, everything that you have gone through, it is not for no reason. Like, I believe that, honest to God, that it is to help someone else. And I'm gonna tell you why I believe this. So I have had experiences in my life where I'll go through something. And I mean, some of the times it would be rough stuff. Like, it would be the kind of stuff that would have me like crying, um, like on my knees, like, God, why is this happening? You know? But then once I worked my way through the situation, I'm telling you, it could be a month, it could be a couple of weeks, and God would place somebody in my space, in my path, who would need that very same conversation. Like, they would need exactly what I had been through, and I had this lived experience to share with them that could help them. Like, it gave them a little bit of like confidence that everything was going to be okay. Now, I'm not going to say that I've always known this, because I have not. But I love when things come full circle and I can look back and see just how, something worked out For example, I remember years ago, I was working in my job, and I had a coworker, and she had a daughter, and she was like really worried about her. She was like, I just don't know. She was just so concerned and just so worried. It was her oldest daughter. And so I would sit down and I just share with her stories about, no, we're not going to talk about me as a teenager, but I shared with her stories about me being a teenager and how at some point like something clicked and I got myself together, and me and my mom have a really good relationship now. So that gave her hope, right? That gave her the faith that, what, this may be a phase, the teenage years, that sort of thing. And she was always so grateful and thankful to me because she said, you really helped me by sharing that. And I began to see that in different phases and in stages of my life. So my point is, while society, the world wants us to think that, being transparent, or, you don't want to tell your business, some of those things that you hear. And I honestly, I grew up with those things, and that may be why I was so private at one point. But we were created for community, right? So if we're created for community, and I have something that can help somebody in my community, why would I not share it? Why would I not use the information that I already have so that they don't have to struggle, so that they don't have to go through it, this hard thing, so that they don't have to do this difficult thing all on their own? Like, I think it's really, um, it's helpful. Like, it's selfish of me. This is my personal opinion. I'm not saying anybody else is selfish, so don't take it that way. But I feel like it's selfish of me not to help someone in a way that I can, just by sharing my experiences. Because not only, I think, does being transparent and sharing your story, your experiences, your situations, not only do I think it's helpful for people, I also think that it gives them a little bit of faith, right? It gives them, because sometimes I think we sit in, and I've been guilty of this before, I think sometimes we sit in certain situations and we feel hopeless, right? We feel like there is no way out, that things are just so bad. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. We don't know how to act. We don't know anything. But if you have someone that comes along and say, you know what, I didn't have the exact same situation, but mine was really close. I got through it. That gives you faith. That gives you hope. That gives them the thought that I too can get through this thing. Now, they're still going to have to take their journey. Yes. They're still going to have to, go through their experiences. Yes. But it can, when you have a little bit of confidence that things are going to go better, you shift how you handle it, right? So if I have a situation and I feel hopeless, and I feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to figure this out, I'm never going to get through this, I'm never going to, then what am I going to do? Am I going to try? Probably not. Am I going to be determined? Probably not. But if I know that my community, someone who has come along and said, you know what, you got this, that has given me it's given me some faith. It has given me this desire, like, okay, I don't want to stay in it, so let me do the things that I have to do to get out of it. So anywho, that is my little spiel on transparency, because I just thought it was so interesting as I was thinking about what we were going to talk about tonight, before all of the technology things did what they did. I just thought about, how interesting it was that the girl who did not want nobody in her business, the girl that did not want to be transparent, who held on to, her stuff like really tight, is now like, y'all, we got to be transparent. Y'all, we got to talk. But it just shows, the growth. It just shows like how things change. Like when you know better, you do better, right? So, I didn't, and my technology has misbehaved so much. I don't know if I have any questions before we started. I did check a couple of platforms, and I'll just do a quick check right now. But I did check a couple of platforms, and I didn't see any questions, and that's okay because I'll be doing this again tomorrow. We're gonna, put in all the prayers that my technology behaves, my laptop stays on. Y'all, it's been on for like the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes. I don't know why it was against me tonight, but that's okay because I'm coming for it again tomorrow, and it's gonna work. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in the atmosphere. But so I didn't see any questions so far, but what I did want to do was answer a question. And this is a question that I thought would be a good question to answer, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. Maybe it doesn't. But the question is, um, what's something you wish people realized about healing? And the answer to that question is, I wish that people realized that healing takes time. I wish that people realize that healing is not going to be quick. You hear people say healing is a journey. It is. Um, and it's not like we didn't say, they don't say healing is a weekend vacation. Mm-mm. you know, a weekend, that's a couple of days. But a journey, if we think about a journey takes time, right? And there are going to be some highs and lows. There are going to be some ups, ups and downs. There are going to be some mountains and valleys, however you want to put it. It's just not going to always be good. And it's not going to always be bad. But it is something that you got to go through. Like if you have experienced something, whether it's trauma, whether it's, just a bad experience or illness, like whatever it is, like healing takes time. Healing requires you to show up, and it requires you to do your part. Like there is no, okay, and I'm gonna tell you this, y'all. I'm telling you this because this was me. Okay, here it is. This was me. I went to therapy. Had, if you don't know, and I guess I should have introduced myself way in early on for anybody who joined. I got so caught up, but I am Harriet M. Harris, trauma informed coach. I am an author, a speaker, and the host of You Are Not Your Trauma podcast. I am also a childhood trauma survivor. So I wanted to say all of that because it makes sense for my story. So I want to say I had to be about 29, maybe going into 30. And I was dealing with a trauma. The trauma that I experienced, the childhood trauma I experienced was when I was 10. So I didn't deal with it. I didn't. I don't know. I just couldn't deal with it. I didn't have the capacity then, and by the time I became an adult, it was more about I didn't want to, I think. I don't know. I didn't sit down and map this out, but like just thinking back on those during that time. But I do remember thinking, "Oh, I'm good. I'm healed. Like all I got to do is forgive some people, and that's a whole nother conversation, maybe another day." Because I thought that was going to be easy too. But I remember going to therapy, and I was going to therapy because in 2010 I lost my grandmother, I lost my uncle, all within like 3 weeks of each other. And I was very close with both of them. And it was just a very hard year. And so I'm going to therapy and I'm going for grief counseling, right? And as I'm going for grief counseling, some other things start to manifest into my life. Like, I shouldn't say manifest, it's not the right one. Some other things start to happen. I don't think manifest is the right word, so we're just going to ignore that. But some other things started to happen. So I'm in therapy, I'm dealing with grief, and the grief is heavy. I'm really sad. And my therapist starts shifting, like, right, my session starts shifting. They start shifting to my childhood trauma. I'm like, oh no, I'm over that. Like that's done. And um, I remember very specifically that I started having flashbacks. I started having flashbacks as if I was a viewer in what had happened in my life. Like as if I was like almost on the ceiling. It was so weird. But as if I was all like on the ceiling looking down, right? And I could see what was happening and it was killing me, right? And so I start sharing this. And what eventually, and again, I didn't realize it then because this was, like I said, I was probably 30, so about 13, 14 years ago. And I really wasn't at that place, but I thought that I could just move on. And that's why when I say the words, you can deal with your trauma or your trauma is going to deal with you, I mean that from full on 100% experience. I mean that because I know. I mean that because I was there, I experienced it, I lived it. I didn't want to deal with it, I didn't want to face it, but it started to come for me, right? And if I'm being completely transparent, it was another, I want to say 10-ish years before the healing actually started. So I didn't do anything but start addressing it, start understanding it, start understanding how it had been, like some of the impacts of my life. I didn't truly understand what was happening at that time. So, and I say all of that to say, I want people to understand that you have to own, you have to deal, you have to process, you have to sit in it. You have to sit in your stuff, sit in it, you have to process it, and you have to really work through it. It took me over 30 years to get to that place, which is why I won't want that to happen to you. Like, I don't want other people, like, and that was really what motivated me to start doing the work that I do, is because I didn't want people to live through what I lived through. I didn't want people to not understand, to keep it to themselves and just try to deal with it, and it starts to affect them in many different ways. And we can talk about the different ways. Like I said, I'm doing these lives all week. Um, so we can talk more about how it shows up, the different ways it can manifest. I'll even share some of the ways that it showed up in me. But I really want people to know that not only is it important to heal, it's important to see life on the other side of healing. So I actually wrote a book to help with that. And it is called the You Are Not Your Trauma Healing Journal. And it will be available starting November 4th. And you can get it on Amazon right now. You can get it if you go to healingjournal.youarenotyourtrauma.com. You can get this book there. And what this book does is it doesn't focus as much on the healing. Like, I want people to understand trauma. So I break it down. We talk about, what trauma is, what it isn't, how it shows up, how to understand it. The different phases of trauma. I mean, it tells you, what trauma isn't. Like, a lot of people have these, they think that they know, but sometimes they don't. And honestly, I didn't know. And so my goal is to help people understand, A, that they're not defined by the things that they've gone through, and B, to choose to heal over hurt, because you can sit in the hurt, but it feels better to heal. And that's what a lot of this book will guide you through. So after all of the explanations and the writing part of about what trauma is, and how you um sh- the journey of healing, of rediscovering yourself, all those things. Once it talks about all of that, and it takes you on a 40-day journey. So there are 40 days of journal prompts that will take you, and I broke it down into 4 parts. And those 4 parts are awakening, exploration, transformation, and blossoming. Because I know how important it is to heal. I know how important it is to deal with it, but I don't want you to sit in it, right? I don't want you to sit. And that was one of the problems that I personally had, is that I sat in it for far too long. So I don't want you to sit in it. I want you to deal with it. I want you to begin your healing journey, but I also want you to focus on the limitless potential, the limitless possibilities of life, even after the trauma. So a lot of people, they get stuck. They get stuck and attached to the trauma. I don't want you to stay there. So this 40 days, like I said, it's broken down into 4 different parts. And the way I did it is because I know that, we go to therapy, and therapy is great. Please understand, I truly believe that. But I don't want you to stay in, just like I said, just staying stuck in the pain. I want you to start looking at life beyond that. And that's what this does. It helps you to begin to see life beyond the trauma, beyond the pain. It helps you to not only, as you're working on healing, it actually also helps you to visualize and see beyond all the things that have happened. Because what I found is that a lot of times when people have gone through trauma, and or even just bad experiences, and they have that hopelessness, they don't know how to transition from the hopelessness to the hopefulness, hope to being hopeful, right? They don't see life beyond what they've experienced. And I think it's super important, as you're healing, to be able to see life beyond what you've ever experienced, because there are limitless possibilities, right? I know from personal experience, even though healing is a journey, I know what it looks like to be on the other side, to not be stuck in the pain, to not be stuck in the past, to not be stuck in what was, but to be focused and moving forward. Um, I, I kind of laugh because it wasn't until I started my healing journey, so like I started healing, that I started to see myself differently. I started to see my life differently. I'll say this, I stopped looking at certain things feeling like they were too big or too good for me, because I knew that I was worthy. I realized that I was worthy, and that I could do hard things. I could do big things. And I remember when I wrote my first book, and I've started several books, right? Never finished one. The idea of it felt too big. It didn't feel like something that I could achieve. And my first book, I remember walking through my living room saying, I'm a finisher, because that was something that I struggled with. So that process of healing allowed me to shift and change how I saw myself. So anyway, if you would like a copy of this book, I think you will absolutely love it. Like I said, it's 40 days, and this is something that I think is really cool. So I'm going to share this with you. So on each day, I included a little mood chart right here, right? So as you go through, you get to write the answer to your prompt, and you check off, you decide, what your mood is. So what I did was I included the feel wheel, because what I realized is that a lot of times we have emotions that we connect to the wrong feeling, right? So we may feel, um, we may feel sad, right? You feel sad, but really, excuse me, you may say, "Oh, I'm so sad." It's like, "Oh, well, why do you feel sad?" I don't know. I'm just sad. So I actually saw a video one day of a woman. She was like, "Yeah, I told my friend I was sad because of some relationship thing. I won't go into all of that because I don't remember all the details. But this is the part that stood out. She said she felt sad, and her friend said, "Well, do you feel sad or do you feel something?" She's like, "No, I feel sad." And she said, as her friend continued to ask her some questions, what she really felt was betrayed, right? So, in one breath, she thought, "Oh, I'm sad about this relationship." But what she really felt was betrayal about the relationship. And that's something totally different, right? Like, she wasn't happy about what had happened. She wasn't, it put her in a bad mood, that sort of thing. So I say all this to say, I share this to say, I want you to look into, like, really dialing down to what the feeling is, or the feeling is that you're experiencing as you're going through this. Whether it's being hurt or sad or calm or excited, like whatever that feeling is, I want you to get down to the root of the feeling instead of making it so surface level, right? So I want you to do that, or when you get the book, you can do that. But I just thought that was really good to add in here, because this way, as you're going through the journal and as you're progressing through each section, because each section is 10 days, as you're progressing through each section, you can journal also what your mood is, like how you're feeling. And that will help you as you go back and you read back through what you write. And it'll kind of help you to see, like, how this made you feel, like how certain things made you feel as you were going through it. So I added that in there. And then towards the end, we have a space for you to create some healing goals, but there are instructions and everything in there, as well as for you to create some boundaries, right? So as you're transitioning into new spaces, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to create some boundaries and do some things differently. So that's all I got for tonight, guys. This went a little longer than I expected, but that's okay. I hope you all enjoyed it. I will make sure that next time we're able to at least communicate through comments, because, like I said, I learned tonight after I started this live that you can't do comments on videos when I do them on my phone. So, I'll get my computer going. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it. But thank you so much for tuning in. So glad to have you here. And if once this gets posted, feel free to drop some comments or ask some questions. If you have any questions about what I shared, feel free to ask. If you want to send an email because you have some questions that you want to ask, or comments, if this doesn't let you comment, my email is contact@harrietmharris.com. So thanks for joining. See you tomorrow. Same time, actually on time, same place. Bye-bye.